God has been so good and gracious to us in student ministry at Lifepoint Church. An important part of growing up is having someone older than you that you can talk to, and over the past few months, we have been so blessed with an additional 7 adult leaders who have joined our volunteer team and are committed to pouring into these amazing students. Offering small and age-appropriate life groups is a gift both to students and their parents. Not only has God put it on the hearts of our adult leaders to serve in the student ministry, but we have also witnessed more high school students engaging and longing to grow in their walk with God. In 2022, we hope to see God continue to add adult volunteer leaders to our amazing student ministry team. We also hope to add additional opportunities for our students to help them in their spiritual development and growth.
We have an amazing team of volunteers who answer the call and faithfully serve in kids ministry each and every week. We've had so many kids that we've even had to split one of our classes in order to have space for everyone. Of course, that requires more volunteers to staff, and God has provided for this every single week. God is building a team of people who are equipped and excited to share the gospel with the next generation, and that is something to be celebrated. Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." And that is a foundational truth for kids ministry. We want kids to hear the truth of the gospel, and we want it to transform their hearts. In order to do that, we have to build relationships with them, and that is what we're seeing every single Sunday morning in Lifepoint Kids. What might look like Play-Doh, silly games, and craft time is actually the church earning the right to share the most important foundations of faith to our kids. And it's sticking. It's been so neat to witness our kids truly reflecting on what they are learning and responding to God as they begin to understand His great love for them. My prayer for 2022 is that our kids will have open hearts and an unabashed willingness to share the gospel. When they begin to recognize God's great love for them and that the gospel is the answer that the world is looking for, we will get to champion them as they make a difference in our community and share that love with others.
This has been quite the year for our worship ministry. If you'll remember, we started off the year still meeting virtually and pre-recording worship each week. I still go back and look through those services from 2020 and the beginning of 2021. It was exciting and fun to create music that way as a team, but it's even more exciting now to gather together with our Lifepoint community and sing. It's great to hear our church sing together again on Sundays, something I won't soon take for granted based on these last 2 years. And in some ways, coming back to church slowly allowed us to grow our tech and streaming team to match what we had been doing each week through our virtual services. We've been able to add whole teams to the different ways people can serve at Lifepoint Church. We now have a camera team of 8 people that didn't exist at the beginning of 2021, a weekly stream director, and we still have more room to grow and more opportunities coming to serve. Our streaming has helped us reach and grow within our community as well. With the ability to stream our weekly services to YouTube and Facebook, our tech team has helped make it easier than ever to invite someone to church. In 2021, we saw people make decisions for Jesus, and it's hard to talk about this without trying to qualify it with statistics. We could count baptisms or guests or Sunday morning attendance or a dozen other things that don't really tell the full story of how God moved within our church this year. Sometimes it's as simple as someone being in a really tough spot in life and in that moment reaching for Jesus. Sometimes it's a father telling us that their kid really wanted to discuss that Sunday's sermon in detail because they had questions. It's a family that's been around a little while but is still nervous about connecting, and then they email you to join a life group. It's sitting in Andy's backyard with a group of young adults and watching relationships start to grow. I am confident that God is at work in what we're doing here at Lifepoint Church. I am praying for more in 2022. God, bring us more people that want to use technology to reach people with the gospel. Bring us more people with the gift of music. And I would love to get more creative with art and the way we use it to explain, teach, and spread the gospel.
In Matthew 16, Jesus tells us that He will build His church. This is happening at Lifepoint. And while we have an amazing staff, Lifepoint isn't growing because of any of us. Lifepoint is growing because of Jesus. The staff, the volunteers, we get to be a part of the way that Jesus has chosen to fulfill His prophecy hundreds of years later. This should excite every single one of us. Yes, we're growing in numbers. Yes, we're exceeding our giving goals. But what excites me is seeing how God is building His church through the work of His people, through each of you. When you come to Lifepoint on Sunday morning, you will never feel alone. Time and time again, I'm told of how visitors immediately feel at home as part of the family. This is in part due to our amazing Connect team, but really this is the culture at Lifepoint. It truly is an authentic community of people striving to become more like Jesus. So many of the people at Lifepoint love to serve. We see students and adults pouring into our kids as they teach them about the love of Jesus. We see adults serving our students, mentoring many of them to serve, that they too might pour into others. We never have a work day without workers. We never have a setup for a special event alone. We never have a coffee cup that goes unfilled. God is moving, using his people, even in the small ways, to point people to Jesus and the life that we are offered through him. We have a lot to look forward to in the year 2022. God willing, we'll continue to see lives changed through the gospel. We hope to see those less involved have a better understanding of their gifts so that they too can learn the joy of serving Jesus and his church. We have plans to open up a new student building, providing an atmosphere that students can have authentic conversations with their peers and their leaders. We hope to break ground on our very own church campus, creating a place for Jesus to be made famous for generations to come. Creating a place for people who don't know Jesus to find the peace, hope, joy, and love that we are offered through his life, death, and resurrection. A place for those who have left the church, maybe even been hurt by the church, to give Jesus a second chance. We believe that because of and through Jesus, the church is the hope of the world. Building a church home is less about a building and more about creating a space for people to discover the love of Jesus. All of this is happening because Jesus said that he would build his church, and Jesus is fulfilling that prophecy through you and your generosity. Your generosity is growing his church and pointing people towards the hope of Jesus. This year, even through COVID, we have seen incredible growth. Our once tiny church of 14 people has grown to over 200 people in just 4 short years. We have never had a year where our budget was not met. And this year, our budget of almost $460,000 has already been exceeded. It's because of this generosity that we have been able to take on additional square footage, creating a new kids building, a new student space, and adding a much needed office building. Because of your generosity, we've been able to open up a new cafe, an outdoor service space to make more room for our growing church. We've also been able to purchase equipment to radically improve our online experience for those unable to attend in person. And I'm excited to say that we've been able to hire an architect and an engineer to design plans for our new church home. God is building his church through each and every one of you. And from all of the staff and board members, we say thank you. Now, to continue to meet the needs of our growing church, we ask that you would continue to give generously. Every month at Lifepoint, we spend over $10,000 to rent the space where we are now. This adds up to over $120,000 a year. We would love to see this go towards our very own church home. But to do this, we need to raise funds to build a church. By God's grace, our land has been paid off, but to begin the building process, we need additional funds. Without going into substantial debt, we ask that you would consider a year-end gift to make our future home a reality. Whether it's $10, $10,000, or $100,000, your gift will go to make a difference. So we invite you to praise God for all that he's been doing to build his church and invite you to join him along the process. And as we say at Lifepoint, all for Jesus.